StrayAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve, where is it, is yet to occur. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one method, one philosophy, a bunch of books, this daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to compensate for your weaknesses. And yes, we all do have them. We're going to get to that in a minute. But before I do that, let me tell everybody that I have a text message line from which every day I send out this text that I call the Daily Motivations. It's a quick message to keep you sharp, focused, on point, ready to do what you need to do for that day, to work on your game for the day ahead. If you want to get that daily motivation text straight to your phone, free of charge, all you have to do is send me a text at this number, 305-384-6894, 305-384-6894. Once you have texted me there and we confirm that you are actually who you say you are, then you'll be getting that daily motivation every day. You also will be able to engage with me there because every day I take some time out and I go through those texts and I'm responding to people. So that is me. That is not a bot. That is not my assistant responding to my text. That is me responding to those texts. The number again, 305-384-6894. The number is also down below in the description in case you can't write it down right now. So the topic again today is how to compensate for your weaknesses. Now, understanding, we all got to be able to be mature enough and disciplined enough to look in the mirror and understand that none of us is great at everything. None of us is even good at everything. All right, we all have weaknesses. We all have areas, I guess you could call them maybe areas for improvement. Maybe they're areas where we don't even want to improve because it wouldn't even be worth it for us to improve because the improvement that we would need to create in that area would take energy and time and effort away from an area in which we should probably focus, which may be our areas of strength. So when I talk about compensating for your weaknesses, sometimes I mean weaknesses is in things that you're not good at, that you want to become good at, and sometimes the areas where you're not good and you don't even want to become good. And I'll get into explaining that as we get into our points here today. So let's go to it. Point number one. The topic once again is how to compensate for your weaknesses. The first thing you have to do is acknowledge that you actually have them. Acknowledge that there are areas in which you are weak. Acknowledge that there are things that you're just not that great at. For example, a couple days ago from when this is being recorded, I spent the majority of 2 whole days doing a whole bunch of editing, some video editing for a video that I was putting together that I wanted to look a certain way. And while it came out, the video actually came out pretty good. I liked what I did and I ended up getting a revision made of that and then using the video, and it's worked pretty well for me. The challenge was the time that I spent doing the editing. I do not really like video editing. To me, it takes too much time. It's a little bit tedious to me. I'd rather do the creating, doing the recording part that is going to be the video, and then let somebody else do the editing part. That's where my strength is. My strength is doing the actual recording part, being the talent, and let somebody else do the editing. I'm not a big editor on any type of material that I create. I'd rather have somebody else do it. So acknowledging that weakness, then at least once you acknowledge it, you can do something about it. If you're not willing to acknowledge it, or you want to lie to yourself or lie to the world that you're good at something that is actually a weakness for you, then you're doing yourself a disservice, first of all, because now you're signing yourself up for a job that you probably shouldn't even have, and you shouldn't have. And at the same time, you're doing other people a disservice. Whomever you're serving with that area that is weak for you, you're not giving them the best that they could possibly be getting because somebody who's not good is doing the work, which is you. So understand that none of us is a Superman or Superwoman, nor should any of us expect to be. Pretending to be a Superman or Superwoman, all it does is speed up your own downfall. It only just speeds up your demise. Acknowledging a weakness is actually a strength, because once you acknowledge that you're weak at something, now you can focus your energy either on the thing that you're weak at, which is now you can focus on how do I get better at this? Let me get a strategy in place so I can actually work on this in a way that's going to make me better. Or that's one thing you could do. Or you can just not work on that thing at all. Like me, you can abdicate from ever editing a video again, let other people handle the editing, and you focus where you're strong so that you are getting the highest return on investment on areas in which you're the best. Or you can also take a little bit of your time and effort and go find the people who actually want to be doing that thing that you're weak at. Get something or someone else to help you out in those places in which you are weak. But if you're not willing to acknowledge that you have weaknesses, then you would never do any of these things. You may not ever make the decision to focus on the areas in which you're strong, which is not going to be everything. So you're not dissipating your talent and your resources. If you don't acknowledge it, then you would be dissipating because you're trying to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. If you don't acknowledge that you have a weakness, then you might keep doing something that you actually hate doing because you're not willing to acknowledge that you're weak. And there may be someone or something who could do it a lot better than you, more efficiently than you. But if you're not willing to acknowledge that you're weak, then why would you ever go looking for that someone or something? Or why would you even allow that someone or something to take that task off of your hands? Well, you wouldn't if you're not willing to make that acknowledgement. That's why this acknowledgement matters so much, that there are weaknesses that you have, and acknowledging them is actually one of the smartest things you can do because it will save you a lot of time and effort in the long run. Point number 2, today's topic again is how to compensate for your weaknesses. Second thing you got to do is analyze and strategize. Once you realize that there are some weaknesses, I'm going to assume you have some, maybe not just one. Analyzing and strategizing means asking yourself, how can you plug the gaps? In other words, fix those resources given your available resources. Plug those weaknesses rather, given your available resources. Knowing what you have on hand in terms of time, money, attention, energy, focus, relationships, knowledge, tactical skill, know-how, etc. What can you do to address this weakness? In episode 609 is where we talked about our 5 forms of investment. So ask yourself, who can help you with this weakness? Who can help you work on it? If you're a person who's not in good physical shape, but you want to get in good physical shape, who can help you do what you need to do to get in shape? Do you need a trainer? You need someone who can just help advise you on how you're working out? Do you want to get one of those workout program systems that get installed in your house and you can do the workout right there in the house and you're like virtually being coached by a person? Do you need to join a boot camp class? What do you need to do? Do you need to go buy a bike? What do you need to do to get to start addressing that area of weakness? Who can help you, or either help you work on it, or can someone or something help you get reinforcements? So like me with the example of editing a video, if I don't like editing a video, how can I get some reinforcements? Maybe I need to go to some type of website and hire somebody. Maybe I need to go ask around who knows a good video editor. Maybe I already know a good video editor and I just need to figure out how much money they want and I'll just pay them and let them do all the video editing. So you can either work on the weakness, you can get reinforcements for the weakness, or you can completely eliminate it. You can just say, okay, I'm just gonna cut this out and I'm just not gonna do this at all anymore because I don't need to. Maybe that'll work, depending on your situation. But this is all part of the analysis and strategizing. When you're doing the analysis and strategizing, here's where you ask these questions. Well, what if I worked on this? How would I work on it? Who would help me? What if I got reinforcements? What would those reinforcements look like? Or what if I just stopped doing this completely, just cut it off immediately and just never did it ever again? How would that look? What would that look like? You could also ask the question, if I put more focus on this thing and I worked on my game, where could it maybe shore up a weak spot? Because you may have a weakness that is maybe not really that weak if you would just fix one particular area of it, and now it could actually become a strong point. But you may have other areas of weakness that no matter how much work you do, you're still probably not going to be that good at that thing. So you should probably go find something else to do and probably not stay too long in that space. Similar to me when I was playing baseball before I started playing basketball, no amount of work was going to make me enjoy baseball at any level close to how I ended up enjoying basketball, simply because I just didn't have the tools. I didn't have the right tools to be great at baseball. I had some tools to be okay. I had the tools to be mediocre. I didn't have the tools to be great. So it was a good thing that I made the executive decision to eliminate baseball from the equation and start focusing on something else that was a higher ROI activity for me. Now, for someone listening to this who's really good at baseball, and maybe you suck at basketball, the equation is the complete opposite. So the thing is, each of us as human beings, we are all unique, we're all different. We have different strengths and different weaknesses. So you need to do this analysis for yourself so you can see, all right, where am I strong? Where am I weak? Where do I have opportunities? Where am I kind of wasting my time and wasting my talent and is not really getting me to where I want to be? We talked in episode 1963 about using the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A SWOT analysis is basically analyzing and strategizing, figuring out where you're at, where you're really at, and what changes need to occur in order for you to get to where you want to be. Where can more focus and work shore up a weak spot? Where can you just eliminate something? Where can you buy someone else's time, attention, energy, and attention? Or should you just eliminate this thing completely and just go over the top? All right, these are all options that you have, but you gotta, again, that's why it's called analyzing and strategizing. You look at each of these options, analyze how they would look and what you believe would result from doing each one, and then you decide what is the best option. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, is how to compensate for your weaknesses. Whenever possible, play to your strengths and render your weaknesses obsolete. Whenever possible. You don't want to play to your weaknesses in life. Now, I understand playing to your weaknesses maybe in your training or in your practicing, or if you're being coached and someone's trying to help you and make you better, maybe then we can focus a little bit on your weaknesses so we can try to figure out how to get those kinks out and have fewer weaknesses in your game. But in general, when it's time for you to perform, when it's money time, when it's time for you to show your best side, you want to focus on your strengths. Play to your strengths. For example, I'm not good at tennis. I've never really played tennis. I went to a couple youth tennis camps as a kid, just a couple of them, but I never took the game seriously as if I was trying to become good at it. I think I could have been pretty good at tennis. As far as the way the game is set up, I think I could have been pretty good at it. And being a solo sport, I might even enjoyed it even more than I played basketball. But since I never did, to this day, as of this recording, I am not good at tennis. Therefore, I render that weakness, that tennis weakness of mine, obsolete by never betting on myself in a tennis match. And as a matter of fact, I don't even play tennis at all. So even if we played, actually, if someone wanted to bet me on tennis, I would say, well, first of all, we had to play a tennis match for us to bet. And secondly, I'm not betting. Even if I was playing a tennis match, it'd be for fun. It's not for a bet. Why would I bet on something that I'm not actually good at? It makes no sense. But every time that you are giving your time to something that you know is a weakness, instead of either eliminating it, figuring out how to work on it, or finding someone else to do it, every time you do that, you're betting on it. You're betting on something you're not even good at. And the reason why I say you're betting is because you're putting time, attention, and energy into that thing when you could be putting that time, attention, and energy into something that you're actually good at and getting a much higher return on investment. All right, this is why you're betting on yourself every time you do something that you know you're not good at. You're betting that if you keep doing it, then eventually you'll become good or eventually you'll enjoy it. Well, you already know the answer to that. That's not going to happen. Because if it was, then you would be excited about doing the work even when you sucked. Even when I sucked at basketball, I was excited to keep coming to the court and practicing simply because I could feel myself getting better even though you couldn't see it with the physical eye from the outside. So you have to be smart enough to know and wise and mature enough and disciplined enough to know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are so you can stay around the strengths and stay away from the weaknesses. It would be a bad business decision and a poor allocation of your most valuable resource, that being time, to keep playing to something that you know is a weakness. To keep giving your time and energy and attention to something that you know is a weakness for you is a bad business move. All right, there's a bad allocation. There's a poor allocation of resources. It is a poor investment. It is going to cost you in the long run. And understand that everything that you do in life is an investment. In episode 1499, we talked about who is a positive investment in your life. Episode 1482, invest in your investments. In episode 916, Warren Buffett's 4 investment principles. And of course, episode 609, 5 forms of investment and how to use each one. So make sure you're allocating your resources properly because they are not unlimited. But if you want someone, let's say, for example, on the flip side from the example that I gave you, I'm not the guy for a tennis match. I'm also not your guy for editing a video. However, if you want someone who can write a book, give a speech, or record a podcast episode, I'm your guy. All right, those areas are my strengths. Those are the things that I should be focusing my time on. And at the same time, when I'm done writing a book, I don't edit the book. When I'm done recording this episode, I don't edit the audio. When it's time for this to go up on WordPress and get aggregated to the Spotifys and the Apples and the SoundClouds, I'm not the one who does it. I empower other people to do those things. If I go travel across the country, I'm not the one in the cockpit flying the plane to get to my speaking gigs, or again, cleaning up the audio for these episodes. I use the resources of other people for that. And understand, you should do the same thing, utilize other people's resources for certain things, and then in other areas, people are going to use you as a resource. For example, maybe many of you who listen to the show, you don't have a podcast and you don't have a desire to even start a podcast, but when it's time to listen to one, you'll gladly listen to someone who does. Now for me, I don't, what's something that I don't do? I don't make up dances on TikTok, but if I want to watch people dancing on TikTok, there are plenty of people who will provide me the links to their platform so I can go watch them do that thing. So you don't need to try to do everything. The foolish man is the one who thinks they can do everything that they see, whereas the wise man looks at things and decides strategically, okay, here is where I could focus my energy and this would give me a good return, and here's where it will probably be a bad business move to focus my energy. You have to be smart enough and wise enough to know where you're making good investments and where you would be making a poor investment. And this is all under the umbrella, or actually what we're talking about here today is under that umbrella. The umbrella is, as we recap today's class, how to compensate for your weaknesses. Number one, acknowledge that you have weaknesses. No one is a Superman or Superwoman. Don't pretend to be, because it just speeds up your demise. Acknowledging weakness is actually a strength, because now you can focus your energy where you're strong and not waste it where you're weak. Number two, analyze and strategize. How can you plug the gaps with what you have? Who can help you? Can you get reinforcements? Where can you shore up a weak spot? Or maybe just buy somebody else's time, energy, and attention, or maybe just eliminate this thing completely and never focus on it again because it doesn't even matter that much to your bottom line. Number three, whenever possible, you play to your strengths and render your weaknesses obsolete. If you're not good at tennis, you should probably never bet on yourself in a tennis match. This is a bad business decision. It's a poor allocation of time, which is your most valuable resource. But if you want someone, for example, or someone wants you to do something that is in your wheelhouse, something that is a strength of yours, then by all means put yourself out there for that thing. But don't put yourself out there for something that you're not good at, and you're not excited about, and you don't have some natural inclinations or some natural advantages over the masses in. Those are areas that are not your strengths. They may not necessarily be weaknesses, but they're also not necessarily strengths. So make sure you're focusing where the ROI is the highest. Anyone who is looking for someone who can help coach them, make sure you're being held accountable. Make sure you have a strategy in place to help you understand where you are strong, where you are weak, what you need to eliminate. Because often it's not needing to do more. Many times in life is doing less of the things that are not doing anything for you, and then doing more of the things that are doing something for you. If you want someone who can help you with that, coach you with that, hold you accountable, make sure there's a strategy in place, and help you get some actual, real, substantial, tangible results, then you're the type of person that I will want to coach in my 3rd-day mastermind. I want you to hop on a Zoom call with me by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com/call, CALL. If you just scroll down in the description of wherever you're listening to this, you can see a link. Click on that link. There's a button that says join the mastermind. Once you're on that page, all you're going to do is fill out a quick form. Then we're going to send you a calendar link or a link to look at my calendar. Find a date that works best for you. We're going to schedule a Zoom call, and then we're going to talk about what we want to talk about, where you're at, where you're going, what you're working on right now, how I can help you get there, and then we'll go from there. Now, everyone who's listening, I want you to send me a text and let me know that you want to get my daily motivation message, which I send out every single day to everyone in my text community. My number is 305-384-6894. That number is also down below in the description and show notes. Work on your game. Dre all day.